a different relationship to the earth, and we had a different relationship to inhabitants of the this earth, and we acknowledged our relationship to our deciding to talk about the earth being belonging to all our relatives. Weganezh didn't look at that because he put himself a little bit above here, and these were things, and so forth. And we went through that and took a look at that, and we say, okay, when you look at the religion, then you're saying, okay, there was a section, what they call the Dead Sea Scrolls, that became a picture, because this the hiding of these documents kept people from learning the relationship to the earth, the things under the rocks and the trees and the rivers and the water, so forth. And so, okay, okay, that makes sense. They didn't learn the spiritual aspect of relationship to Mother Earth, what we call our mother. And we had developed a relationship in our ancestors, and we called the memory of our ancestors, which later became DNA encoding. Like, to me, I believe that people can learn the language twice as fast as they're doing now because of this DNA encoding. The language that we're studying here had been around for at least 13,000 years. And so anything that's around for 13,000 years is literally encoded in DNA, which we call memories of our ancestors. And so we should be able to hit a certain frequency in our lives to be able to access this through our DNA, our blood, and it's in our blood, that language. And so it'd be like me going to the hard drive and putting something on the computer. So that's how somebody came up with this idea, and so forth. And I said, okay, that makes a lot of sense, because there's a term in our language we call atsoke. We atsoke, and you put the kids on the outside, and you put the speakers are on the outside, the kids are all on the inside. And then everybody talks the language, and the language by the kids that are in it. So they call that atsoke. You tell stories on the outside, and so forth. So language is acquired by the kids, and it seems to be very fast. It's not very painful. I never felt any urgency or anything like that to learn a language. It just came to me, and I said, well, that must be the way that I acquired the language, because it must have been in there, and then it just woke up, and there I go. And then I also learned how to speak Finn. I learned how to speak Finn before I spoke English, and I acquired that language very fast. Like, next one day, one of the Finlanders looked at me and says, "Hey, Indian boy, come in, I put you." I said, "Oh, okay." And I run home because I've told Indian boy go home. Okay. And the next thing you know, I'm acquiring more and more and more, and I stopped, and I got older, and I said, "Well, where did that come from?" There was no effort. Eh? It just came to me, and I said, "Now, if I could figure out how that happened," because at that time there had been language speakers, Ojibwe language speakers that I knew of. She's going on about 35 years. There should have been a lot of adults running around speaking that language. If they learned that language as fast as I learned Finn and Ojibwe, everybody should have pretty well, because people weren't teaching it; they were just using it, and it was being picked up.
Mhm.
So that's what happened with that. And I'm saying anyone that's been immersed in the language for X amount of years or something, it should be in your being. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's what I tried. I'm trying to put together a program based on, because we've started to replace a lot of the words, instead of looking at them as Anishinaabe words. They are what we've been doing without even some people thinking about it. What we've been doing is we've been translating English to Ojibwe.
Mm.
There should be no translating English to Ojibwe. It should be a thought, a picture directly into Ojibwe.
Mhm.
So that's I took the words apart, started taking the words apart and everything, and I thought, gee, this English is a very primitive language. It involves 7 other languages or 8 languages, because they don't have words for these in English, so they borrow from other languages. Our language here, my language is, I can say things in my language that you can't say in English, because I know both languages very well. So I'm saying, so if that's the case, then I got to learn what I'm saying in Ojibwe. Like when people say, hundreds and hundreds of English people are out there saying, well, miigwech means thank you. I says, well, wait a minute. It does in a sense, but no, not really. You're saying so much more in miigwech than you would say in thank you. The most important thing you're saying in Ojibwe, miigwech, means he gives, but it also saying he gives, we receive. And then my thinking goes to, okay, well, we all know how to give. It's a good feeling to give, but it's also a good feeling to receive. So most of us know how to give, but lots of us, we don't know how to receive. And so that's okay. So how many more words are made like that, where we're translating to English and it all of a sudden it's a very short explanation, and like a lot of people going around out there teaching language, and they're saying, well, we can't teach goodbye because there's no word for goodbye. We never say goodbye to one another. And I'm saying, yeah, well, you think that like we're better than some people or something. There has to be, because I know that there was. And then when we say Aniwana, that's so important that it's not only used in everyday language, but it's also used at the end of each ceremony when you go. It means that whatever happens, we've already accepted that if we see each other again, it may be here, but it might also be over there. We've already accepted that. That to me sounds better than goodbye or all these words. So that's how I started to change the words, like the way that everybody else is using these words. I said, okay, there has to be a better system of use where people are going to benefit from this language and so forth. Because it's a really rich language. It used to come from here and not from here. So basically, that's how I started to, because I want people to be able to learn a language. If I could find one person that's going to know all these words and everything, that's really something. And not only that, but I think it was you that said, Waabin said, well, that word sounds familiar because.
It was Dan, the guy that was sitting next to me.
Oh, okay.
And I was really impressed too, because he was synthesizing from different pieces of what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, synthesize. Yeah, and I thought,
I'm not very good.
yeah. Anyway, that's what I was looking at, and Mary the other day, she turned around and did the same thing without even thinking about it. She just naturally used the word, came from somewhere else to fit this situation here. And I said, that's what I'm trying to do. Now, if we could do that with most of words and everything like that, wouldn't that be great? You're making your own language. You're seeing a picture, but you're putting your language into that picture instead of thinking about the word and then the picture coming afterwards.
You get stuck on pronunciation. That's what I get stuck on little, and then you fixate on that. Like Julia told us to sit down one day, and I knew what she was saying, but I can't say the word. I don't know what she said, but I knew that she was telling me to sit down. Yeah. Sounds right.
So again, on the same thought, where I'm using the words today on almost the same pronunciation. If you take a look at number 3, you say Gmakaan gegoo meswaabindaman. Did you find something you like? And the other part is
Gmakaan
gegoo meswaabindaman. Meswaabindaman, yeah. Do you find something that you are particularly attracted to with your eyes? That's how you say the whole thing. Meskwaabindaman, yeah. So the other one is number 5, Gwaabindaan gegoo meskwaabindaman. Meskwaabindaman, yeah. So this one is it's almost the same thing. It's almost the same thing with the big word, but one says, "Did you find something you like?" And the other one said, "Do you see anything you like?" And knowing that if you know meswaabindaman, you would also know meskwaabindaman. Now, if you go a little bit further, and I didn't add it yet, but if you say at meswaabindaman, I'm seeing that it's missing. I'm seeing that it's not there. Gwaabindaan. So there's 3 words that are all the same, except one little change, and it changes the way that you use the word. So all you have to do is learn one word, and the little changes that happen, it's easy to pronounce the difference afterwards. And like this is the first time I'm using this language way of learning the language. And when I'm doing it on the First Nation, if I do this program on the First Nation, I would have 3 days of people listening to the language every day. They would listen to the language every day. They call that, immersion sort of thing. The 72 hours is supposed to take you to be able to make a new neural path in your brain to be able to put the language in there. And because your brain has to find space for a new language. And so it takes 3 days. And once it finds it, then you're understanding the words. You start to hear the words, and your brain starts to be able to hear the words. Before that, it's just a mumble jumble of language. That's all it is. There's no words or nothing. All you're hearing is a jumble of words. And then you hear the words after, and then it's only a matter of time before you acquire the meaning of these words. And I'm doing it in Naughton, where we do that. We go into the bush camping and everything, and we have everybody hearing the language for 72 hours, and to be able to no longer be deaf to the language. Before that, you're deaf to the language because your brain can't pick up the words. And I thought, well, I'm going to try this scientifically because it works for kids. It works for babies. So why would it not work for adults? Yeah, we try to grammarize the language when there's no need to grammarize. I've never used grammar anyway. That's why I'm using the word grammarize. I don't actually know what I'm supposed to be saying. Does anybody want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. I think, can you hear me, Lorney?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, well, that's what I study, but I think in keeping with what you're saying, like as adults, we're drawn to grammar because we like things like structure and order, which is what grammar gives. But for kids, and I think for language learning, right, what they're interested in is the meaning, right? It's why, you know, how and why I'm doing it. It's the effect and the purpose that matters. Right. And I think you know, personally, I believe the same thing is true for adults, but we're trained in school to break things into little pieces and to learn the little pieces in a specific order. And so it's hard for us to unlearn that and to learn in a more natural way, which I really respect the way that you're teaching these classes. So, you know, Gmakaan.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because this I guess I'm about 3 weeks behind what I'm doing on First Nation, and on the Atsoke started about 4 years ago, and it's really neat because it's all across the country now. Anytime I look at something to do with language, they're talking about Atsoke, and before that, I'd never heard of it. And I said, okay, we're going to do it the same way kids do it. And so the next thing you know, I think people are just picking it up. Nobody knows exactly where it came from, but they're, holy cow, everybody's, you know, into it and everything. And that's the way it's supposed to work. You don't have to say, well, this person came up with that and blah, 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 because it was already there. And then people are just using it and so forth. And I'm saying, wow, this is really neat. If I could do it to the next step on being able to be able to put people into 0.1 hertz to be able to open up that channel of learning, gee, we'd be able to learn that language twice as fast. I'd be accomplishing something that I'm actually looking at, because I couldn't teach this language if my life depended on it the way I learned Thunder Bay. I went to Thunder Bay for 4 years, and I drilled and I did all kinds of things, and I did stories. I couldn't. There's no way. People, they finished there. A year later, they don't remember anything. So I'm saying, well, there's got to be something done. And, you kind of encourage me, sort of thing. Hey, maybe I'm on the right track here, because I'm testing this out to see if this is what I want to do. You know, and being who I am, I like things to be easy. I'd like you to learn this by yourselves. You know? Yeah. Anybody else? That was really neat.
Yeah, perhaps I would just say that because indeed each language is about a culture and its people.
Mm-hmm.
It's true that when the way you teach is helping us to understand more than the actual words, is to understand the culture.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I think that's what I'm trying to do, really, is to be able to tell a picture, talk about, see the picture, then talk about the picture. In most cases, we talk about something and then we see the picture afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm trying to do is, because of our gift of vision, our enhanced gift in our walk on life is vision. To envision, people have to, other people other than Anishnawbek have to go to a program someplace to learn how to envision themselves in a certain state of being, and so forth. With Anishnawbek people, it's a natural phenomenon. We can envision automatically, and so therefore we're great artists and we're great storytellers, because we can see the picture and then describe it. I can see the picture and describe it, that means you can see the picture.
Mhm.
That's what makes it so interesting that that you can do that. And that's what there is nothing more interesting than to find someone that can see the picture and talk about it, and learn off that. I'm trying to. They're trying to teach me how to go on TEDx to go and learn some and talk about some of this. Yeah, I don't know. It's something that it's there, but it's something I can't find it. I know what I want to see, but it's just, I'm hoping somebody can help me here. So, I want to thank Jeffrey there for his words, because it's got to come out. It's in there somewhere. Yeah. So we'll go in with saying these sentences one after all the way down to the end, and becoming used to what I call a conversation of interest. The language, it also has in it how to be polite, in a way that you're not harsh. There are ways. If I were to translate this into English, it would be very confrontational, the words I would use. I was trying to find a way. It's like being able to be kind, to be able to say something in such a good way that it's like telling somebody to go to hell in such a way that it's going to be a good trip for you. So with diplomacy included in there. So that's how I was trying to think of this. If I was to be in a store someplace, working in the store, how would I walk up to another person without sounding like I want you to leave, sort of thing? Because when I'm in a store and I'm being followed because of my who I am, sometimes the person comes up and says, "Can I help you?" And I say, "Well, no, I know where the door is." That's how the feeling I get in the way that I'm confronted. So I was trying to stay away from that. So my first one was Weganezh menezyin. Menezyin. Weganezh menezyin. What are you short of? What are you lacking? Gmakaan nenda waabindaman. Are you finding everything you are looking for? Gmakaan nenda waabindaman. Gmakaan gegoo meswaabindaman. Meswaabindaman, something that you are drawn to. Yeah, something that you're drawn to, something that you like. And are you finding something that you like? Gmakaan gegoo menkaman. Are you finding something that
menkaman?
menkaman? Yeah.
Menkaman. Yeah, sounds like menkaman.
Men, come on. Men, come on. Is that something like that? What do you call that? All the men left. I used to think that was a word, eh? Like square dancing on our kids.
Oh.
All the men left. What's that word? How is that? They're like, oh, that's what it means. Gwaabindaan gegoo meskwaabindaman. It could also say in a slang way, do you see something that makes your eyes look red? Meskwaabindaman. Something that's red is squaw. So it's, you have to watch how you say that word.
Oh.
Gwaabindaan gegoo meskwaabindaman. Yeah, you like what you see, so you like to own it. Makan gegoo wanda gozikaman. Makan gegoo wanda gozikaman. Like when Mary gave me a gift of some gozikaman, and they were too small. And you know, you see if you can fit it. Gozikaman, you put it on to try to see if you can fit it. Gozikaman. Aaniish bskaabiiyin. And sometimes people say Aaniish waamajai. Aaniish waamajai. Kids love to ask you. You know, you just get someplace and you're visiting your friend or little kid comes home. When are you going to leave? Because he was doing something really interesting before he got there. Because you got there, you know, his father stopped playing with him or something. You know, he's been trying to do it. That's what we're kind of hinting on there. Aapiish, ezhaayin. Ezhaayin. Where are you going? Aapiish.
Yell that at you all the time.
You should just learn the real words.
Aapiish, wenjibaayin. Where are you from? Aaniish dgoshnan. Good. You guys are catching on pretty good here.
Can we do number 8 again? Can we do number 8 again?
Aapiish, ezhaayin.
Aapiish, ezhaayin?
Yeah.
Aapiish, ezhaayin.
Explain to the other group on the First Nation there. We have the ethics of non-interference, and we have to sometimes think about what we're going to say when we think about the ethics of non-interference, because the Dragonauts, when they see somebody turning and going, they says, "Where are you going?" So I'm going to the store, and the guy goes down the pathway, and you look at him and so forth. If you're a Dragonaut, you say, "Hey, whoa, hey, the store is that way." And they go, oh, okay. So they walk back. And the Schnabbe, you know, sees the guy going to the store, he watches him for a while, you know. Maybe he knows where the shortcut is. I don't know. He knows there's another shortcut that I don't know about. He doesn't interfere. He just watches. And in a sense, he's saying, "Yeah, well, he's smart ass. I hope he gets lost." Yeah, was during the fasting weekend, last weekend, I was really suffering down by the sacred fire. We had 3 people up on the mountain, and I was really at first I was really cold, and then I put on a coat and everything, and then I got really thirsty. Now, when you're in a mountain and you have the sacred fire, everything that happens on the mountain, you're connected to the fire. And when you're the firekeeper looking after the fire, you're connected to the fire. So whatever happens to anybody on the mountain, you feel it down the hill. It's about almost a mile away. And so when you get hungry or when you get cold, you say, okay, somebody out there is cold, so I better put on a coat and help them get a little warm again. Or if you're hungry, you say, well, I guess I better take something and eat something because holy catfish, this is the third time I'm eating today. Somebody out there is really hungry, so you eat again. And as I was putting tobacco down, the thought came to me, something that's been on my radar for about, I guess, a good 25 years. And it has to do with our powwows. And we're always talking about teams that take on the expression of Anishinaabe animals or something like that. Or they're called the Cleveland Indians, or they're called, a different animal name and so forth. And other people are like, I'm proud when I hear that. Wow, they got a Anishinaabe name now. They're going to start winning like crazy. Holy cow. And that's me there with my ego. And other people are saying, well, gee, that's racist. That's a disrespect and everything. And I'm on a whole different journey. And so with the word powwow, there's thousands of Indians that run to powwows every year, and they don't know where the origin of the word powwow is. And so me, I get really upset. I say, geez, yeah. It's like when I first heard the word tonto when I was a kid. Tonto meant the slow one in Spanish, eh? The slow one. Oh, gee whiz, man. And so there's a different association to certain words. And my problem with powwow and drumming, it took on a different color with my Ojibwe brothers that went to residential school. I didn't go to residential school. When other kids were smoking, smudging themselves, and they're 6 years old, smudging in residential schools, and being beat up and punished for trying to start fires in fields. I was at home, getting home from school, and having a nice supper and everything like that. I had a whole different life. And most kids were being given discipline through, without love. I was being just allowed to be a child, and getting into all kinds of trouble. My grandparents were recognizing Anishinaabe parenthood. When you're raised as a little kid by your parents or grandparents that are First Nation, first language Ojibwe, we have the Nenabush, who is the teacher of conscience. And the little kid has told a story about Nenabush taking a shortcut and getting lost and everything. And the little guy is pretty smart, so he said, holy cow, I ain't gonna do what that dude did, man. Yeah, I ain't gonna get lost like that. And so forth. And if there's discipline that has to be done, the aunties and the uncles are there. They take the role to be a discipline. And they pull the kid aside and everything. And because the aunts and uncles, they live somewhere else. And they don't have to worry about falling asleep and the angry kid coming along.
What did my dad tell you? I'm just kidding.
Anyway, that's when you look at the picture that I'm talking about, you can see why we allow the aunties and uncles to encourage them to be their disciplinarians. And we have a whole different way of being around our children. And our kids don't have to hide when we get home. They usually hide when the uncles and aunties come over. And so we have a whole different idea to discipline. And when we went to school, we were disciplined without love, because the people that were looking after us had no love for us whatsoever. So we were disciplined without that love. And we were corrected through shame. And they say, you should be ashamed of yourself, and blah, blah, blah. And if you don't smarten up, you're going to grow up just like your parents and all this stuff. And this is what we hear and heard and so forth. And when you take a look at the discipline that's learned in the army and everything, discipline without love is what you get to learn how to survive in the army. And you learn to stay alive in a certain way. And so you're going through this and you're seeing this, and so you adapt that to what we had a long time ago. In about 1872, 1873, Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill there, he started a Wild West show down in the States. And he made pretty good money. He went to New York, went to San Francisco, went to some of the big towns. Made some pretty good money, but he wanted to make some more. So he got a hold of about 7 Anishinaabe people. And he said, you know, it'd be neat if what they do out there in the dark and everything by the fires, if they do that in front of these people, there'd be a lot of people coming to see them. So he got 70 of these native people to dance and hit the drum, and they're dancing. And it started out pretty good. People were, wow, you know, holy cow. And so we decided I'm going to dress them up a little bit, put ribbons on them. They're going to draw more people. So they did that, and oh yeah, more people came, so forth. Most Anishinaabe people, the elders, they talk about that, and they say that was the beginning of us in a sideshow. And it went on, and our relationship to people around us and our grandfather up above, the picture changed. We started to dance for the people around us, and we had a certain payoff from this, and we started to change our minds. We used to have the grass dance. A lot of people danced the grass dance. In the village, everybody danced when we did the grass dance. And because, yes.
Was that to when they moved villages and stuff? Didn't they do that to stomp down the grass so they could have a flat surface? Or am I wrong about that?
That's part of it. It could be. The different tribes did different things.
Okay.
The grass dance was to celebrate all the medicines on the earth.
Oh, I like that one more.
That was to celebrate the medicines. We were connected to the healing that we were looking for in the earth, and so we had the grass dance, and we got dressed up. Some of us wore medicine on our being. Some of us wore medicine beads and so forth, and some of us wore the dried up corn and dyed corn on our necks and so forth. We danced, and this is us dancing, and there was a drum, and to be able to say thank you to God, because we saw what gratitude was. We saw people saying thank you. You give something to somebody, they say thank you. We say miigwech, but it wasn't so much that we didn't understand speaking too much, but we acted out miigwech. The way to act out miigwech is you hit the drum, you put the sound of miigwech, how good it felt to have that medicine in your being, to eat that medicine. You felt good and you felt healthy. And so you put the sound of that miigwech, how good it felt into your heart. you put that sound to your heart. And that sound came to your heart in that. So to be able to illustrate to creation, you put a sound to that good feeling that you had in your heart. And that sound came out of your mouth and you started to. And to be able to double that sound, you send it out with the drum, because the drum works through vibration. And the vibration of that drum will send out those waves of that good feeling that you have, that sound of that good feeling that you have. So you would sing out that sound that comes from your heart. It would go out, and you knew it would go around the world and around the universe, come back. It would come back double. And so you used a drum that really sounded really high, really loud, and you sang that. And that was one of our dances. The other dance we had was the Thunderbird dance. And the Thunderbird dance, we really put our hearts right into that, and we could feel it. We feel it in our hearts, and dum, dum, and it would be magnified by the drum beat. And we would send that out with our voice and everything. Pretty soon, anybody that went to that gathering, they would come close to that gathering. They would say, "My God, do I ever feel good when I go to that pub, that gathering? Do I ever feel good when I go to that gathering?" My goodness, you didn't have to be native. It could be anybody that, gee, I feel good. It does something to my blood. So that's what happened. We went there to dance miigwech. And the Creator, all he had to do was see us. And he saw how grateful we were. He saw how full of gratitude we were and everything. We were so grateful. We were dancing and we were singing. And we were singing. He understood that song that was coming, and holy catfish. He felt that and everything. The more we went to powwows, the less we danced to that father, the more we danced to the people around us. Today, we hardly ever dance for that person up there. We dance for the people who are watching.
To win first place.
So the way we are out there changes. It's become a competition, a form of warfare, in a sense. It changes. That changing changes the language. The language starts to change. And we start to say to people, I tell people this, and this is how we used to do things. We dance miigwech. And they got programs now that bring gratitude to if you want to have abundance, you have lots of gratitude in your heart. In Anishnawbek, we used to say, if you want abundance, you dance abundance. The Creator has abundance. Every time you say miigwech and you dance, you are expressing abundance from creation. And so you're dancing that and everything. You're really, really good. So people come and say, ask Lorney, okay, you say that you're expressing abundance all the time. And what about that? I don't see where you guys had abundance. And Lorney said, well, maybe we have to take a look at the word abundance. We had clean air. We had clean water. We had clean thought. And it's maybe we need to take a look at what is abundance to us. Not only just us, but everybody. And then maybe we can all dance in that fashion. Right? And so that's in a matter of sitting in front of that fire. I thought, gee, I should talk about that in my next language class. Always very clearly says you should. I said, I guess I meant to. I guess so. So here I am. I didn't. So I mean, but when I say that, when you have that feeling through your being, but also you're also focused on this. Through this, you can understand the drums more often. The drums more better, and the voice it changes. And a lot of people don't understand the act of fasting because they don't understand that. Again, the scientific expression of a fast is to go without food, so that your brain starts to think, and your brain starts to go into action, and how to be able to feed this hungry human being. And as this being is getting really hungry, the brain goes into work, and it takes all that knowledge that comes from the universe, and you take that and you come down the mountain in a whole different way of expressing. It's the same person coming off the mountain, but it has a different expression in their being. And me as a firekeeper, I get to watch these people walking down and go, holy cow. Remember?
Yeah. You don't eat for 20 minutes and you start panicking. You go back to real life, you're like, oh gosh.
And me, I'm come up a bit heavier because I had to eat for you guys.
Maybe you just keep that going. Keep eating for us.
Any feedback on that? That's what I'm saying.
I like that. I like the lesson today. Sorry.
Waabin, just because sometimes we hear parts of the word in other places. So what Wabin would be what more specifically? Like in number 2.
Wabin can also be expressed as morning, when the sun comes awake.
Really? Wabin?
Wabin.
Wabin.
Yeah, Wabin.
I see the sunrise every morning. I walk my dogs.
The old expression that all the old people used to have a long time ago is when they first got up in the morning, they crawled out of their wigwam and they stretched them toward the sun, and they would say, "We'd waabindakwe." When the sun comes up, you can see what kind of a day you're going to have. You can feel it in your whole being. And then so you would, wherever you were, one of the teachings my grandmother gave is one of the people from Sagamok. He went to see my grandmother, and he says, I want to be able to feed my kids, and I want to be able to have a little bit of money. What can I do? Would you be able to help me? And he gave her tobacco. And she says, anything else that I need to give you for you to be able to tell me what to do? And my grandmother says, well, you have to get me a Mickey. And give me a Mickey of whiskey. When you do that, you come see me. So he took off and went back into Sudbury or Spanish or Espanol or someplace. I don't know where, but he went and got it and came back and he put it in front of her and he put tobacco there. And he says, okay. He says, is that it? And he said, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So she had, while he was doing that, she had gone and gotten some plants and some roots, and she was a medicine woman. And they called her a budajgekwe. Budajgekwe was when you were sick, she would take that tea and put it in her mouth, a mouthful of that tea. And wherever you were sick, she would blow really hard on your being, and she would blow that sickness out of you. It was a little guy, and I said, oh, how come, what are you doing? And she said, oh, I'm blowing that sickness out of that person. And this medicine is helping me do that, blow that sickness out of that person. And I said, well, how can you do that? I mean, you can't blow through that person. She said, yes, I can, because that person is not, he's not solid. You see solid, but he's not solid. And I said, oh, okay. And anyway, she would know that. And so that's what she did. She had taken it with her. She had gone out and made some medicine, and she put it, she preserved it with that whiskey. She's making the bottle of that whiskey. She says, you take a little sip of that every morning for at least a week. And you wake up in the morning, you don't go back to bed. You go outside and you don't use the bathroom. Go outside and see. Go see what the day's going to bring you. Go out there and watch that sun come up. You got to go up before the sun comes up. Go up there and watch the sun. So he did that, and she says, and you go straight to work. You go and get ready and go to work. And when the sun comes up and it's good and high, you go back home and you have some tea and you eat and so forth. And you do that every day, and you get home, and you at the same time every day you get home and you make your supper. You have your supper, and then you play with your kids. You play with your animals, and you look after your family. And you drink this every day. And he was not too well off, but he was getting by looking after the kids. He did that, and I was a little guy, and I was curious, and I was alone with my grandparents. And when you're alone, there's no other kids to interfere with your thinking, and there's nobody else to interfere with you when my grandfather takes you someplace to go visiting. You have to stay with your grandfather. So everything that you learn, it just stays. And the thing that I saw was, okay, I saw and I heard what my grandma said. I saw the medicine. I saw what the guy was doing. And she also said, then when somebody dies, you make sure you go to that funeral. You take your whole day off. You go to the funeral. You take that time out. And she says, and your life will change. And I said, okay, yeah, okay. So year by year, I watched this guy. He got another brand new truck. He's put additions on his house. His kids went to different schools that I grew up into. Teenagers, kids went out to high schools and colleges and everything. He became one of the more well-off people. He started out with a little house, ended up with a big house and everything. He had two wallets. He didn't trust banks, so I had two wallets. One every day here, and the other one here he's saving up for maybe timberjack or something. I always remember the most important word that there was Gwaabindaan. If you do that every morning with the Gwaabindaan, you will see your life as it's going to unfold. That is the magic word with Gwaabindaan. Some of the older people in Gmakaan and Sagamuk still remember that word. I remember it very well because of what I learned as a process.
What does that mean? Sorry?
With Gwaabindaan, you're going to see your life ahead of you.
Okay, so the practice
Your day.
visualizing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're aligning your eyes.
You put the work in. Obviously, you put the work in and probably did that for a while to change things.
Yeah, well, I learned from it. I did that every day, and I was always late. I was always on time. I've always been on time for my work. I've always never missed the work I'm supposed to do. I've always been celebrated for being on time. I've never had to use the word, "Oh, I'm on Indian time." I've raised my kids the same way. My kids, it doesn't take them long to get raised in stations, no matter what they are. They are preferred people to have on the job because they're always on time. Paula, she was asked to work in Thunder Bay at corrections when I got hired on there. And they thought that because I knew what I was doing, they thought she would know what she's doing. I was the first one to ever be on time all the time as an Native person in Thunder Bay. And
They expected greatness after that, didn't they?
And when Paula started, she said, "Do you think I could do that, work with kids?" And I said, "Yes, you could." She said, "Well, how am I going to do that?" And I said, "Do the things I told you, but always be there, always be on time." And 3 months later, she was told that she was the best person that ever worked in Thunderbake for her. It's we the bum to quit. Bum to quit, yeah.
Jim, or I'm not hearing the beginning of it properly.
The
I need
bum
to give you a good ear. Here, say it again.
the bum to quit.
Would a bob and a quay?
If you're going to do it, read the bum to quit.
Me-
Read the bum to quit.
Would a bob and a quay?
Or if you're asking somebody to go do like, with the bum to quit.
Bob and a quay. Would a bob and a quay.
Be able to,
I'm sorry.
it's the CB on.
The quay.
See what's coming next.
Can you hear what you want me to spell that?
Yeah, read the bum
Yeah.
to quit.
Thank you for asking.
Pencil.
Okay.
Oh, I keep on drinking out of bottles and water keeps shooting at my nose when I turn it back. Like what? I didn't do it that time, but I'm like,
I'll let you know.
oh my gosh, it's getting me. What does that mean, Lorney? Water's attacking me.
Why the quay?
With the bum to quit.
Why quay? Not like woman.
Well, I was going to go look at the woman.
Was it because I'm gonna go visualize the
Teaching us.
woman?
Well, the earth, the
I'm
light.
going to go and do that. Read the bum to
You made it better. Yeah, you made it not weird.
read the bum to Yeah, it's funny what our little word can do.
Yeah.
I like it. That's tattoo on me.
Doesn't that mean doesn't necessarily mean woman, but refers to like a transformation that happens?
Yes, it could. Yeah, it could do that too. But yeah, it's like quack. It's almost the same word as you say quack.
Why did you put
Quack doesn't mean woman.
Yeah.
That you just do that just by,
It refers to
it's
going
don't
together.
miss the end, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the last noise.
Yeah,
And if you want to close.
yeah. I guess it's time to close. How miigwech? Any last words? Anybody? Miigwech for today.
Miigwech, miigwech.